I am really excited today. I got myself involved in a collaboration here on YouTube, and it's called hashtag lovesummerart. And what it is it's artists from all over the world that have YouTube channels and are artists. And they basically create beautiful things. I have viewed some of these tutorials, and I'll tell you what, I was amazed. I didn't even know that a lot of these people were even out there because YouTube is so huge. Now this event is starting today, July the 17th, and it will go on until July the 20th, Sunday. I am going to take part in this, and I am going to make a mermaid. My work is a little bit different and it takes longer, so I don't know if I will be able to actually complete this. I didn't have enough time with myself, and I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna do it, and I'm gonna enjoy it because I want to be a part of this. Now, if you look over to your right hand side, you'll probably notice a lot of videos that says hashtag lovesummerart. Well, click on those videos and watch some of these artists, and really watch it to the end because it will really amaze you. If you don't see it, type it in. Hashtag lovesummerart. Okay, let's get started. I'm doing a mermaid, and I've had several requests for arms and legs. Well, since I'm doing a mermaid, I'm not going to be able to show you with the legs, but I'm going to be able to show you with the arms. I've had a lot of people say that they have a lot of problem getting form to the arm. They don't know how to get that sharp, crisp look in the arm instead of it like bowing, I guess. So I'm going to show you my way, and maybe something that I do you can apply to yours, and maybe it'll help you with what you think you're having a problem with. I don't know, but we'll see. Okay, now this is going to be a very large mermaid, and I've already started it, and basically this tutorial isn't so much on how to sculpt the torso or the head or anything. I'm just basically going to be the arms, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do the tail. Now, do I know how I'm going to do it? Not just yet. That's why I don't have a picture out there to say, okay, this is what we're going to create, because I have no idea. And you know what that means? You got to watch it till the end. Okay, now I've already sculpted it, and of course she still needs a lot of work, but I'm going to show you, and I thought this would be a good thing to show you. When I do the head, now it's already cooked, and I make sure that when I cook it, I have a hole in it. So I put it on like a wooden skewer or something and cook it. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some epoxy, two-part epoxy, and for some of you that are here for the first time, this is what I'm talking about. You have plenty of work time with it, and I use that for my heads. I do a half of a head, and then I do the back, and then the two-part epoxy is in the center, and it gives me a nice, hard, firm core to work with the polymer clay, because polymer clay is very, very soft for me. Okay, so if I were ready to attach my cooked head, and I would put a little bit of epoxy either on this wire, or I will stick it in the hole. If the hole's not big enough, just carve into it, or I can even drill it too. I have the epoxy on there, and I would just stick it right in there. Place the head right on it. And this is the part that I do want to point out, is that if you don't have part of that neck going on, and let's say you started bringing your head down and then build it, you have your epoxy in, you're not going to be able to get much bend. So I just wanted to point that out. I'm sure you can figure that out for yourself, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention. You have a lot of leeway with that. But just pay attention to that joint so that you're able to bend it. Okay, then when I would do that, I would put that on there. I would take my clay and I would smooth it all in there and just blend it and whatever. Okay, so we're going to set that aside because we're not going to mess with the head. What we're going to do is we're going to do the arms. And I've already got it started just a little bit. My epoxy isn't quite ready, but I'm going to move this over to the side because I'm going to show you my template. And I always draw a template. Let me say I try, because I don't feel I can draw, but I am practicing. So I've drawn it out, and I'll go ahead and I'll place it on there. And now see, now all of this here is going to be her tail, but I'm going to have to fill that in. But this is the part that I want to show you, is the arms. I take some wire and I just twist it. I have my 2-part epoxy on there, and I'm going to move this off to the side so we can see what it is that I'm going to show you here. Okay, it's better that you make your wire longer so you can cut it. If it's too short, then you're in trouble. Okay, so I always make it a little bit longer. So I take my wire, I twisted it, doubled it, and I place it right along my template. Okay, now many of you should know, unless this is your very first time, elbows are at the waistline. So what I do is I take my epoxy, and I'm not taking my epoxy and going into the shoulder. I want it right at the end of the arm, because the shoulder is going to be separate. And then this piece here is going to be part of the hand, but you can cut this off because sometimes when you go to bend the wrist, it kind of bends funny and it gets in your way, and then you end up cutting it. But what I want to say is that you want to make sure that the wrist is free so that you can bend it. Okay, now I've put my 2-part epoxy on here, and see, it's still not quite ready for me to put the clay on it just yet. But I place it on here, and I see where my elbow would be, and I have my joint clear. I don't want the epoxy on there, and I have it nice and thin. You want it nice and thin at that wrist, because when you're doing it, the wrist is pretty thin. You don't want a big wrist. Okay, I'll let that dry. Now, I'm going to show you in this tutorial how I just make my arms. And I've already kind of played with the hand. I don't even know if I'll use this, but this is something that I just do. Well, always when I'm waiting for something to dry, I'll just go ahead and I call it how people will rough sketch something. Well, I rough sculpt something. Okay, so I just went ahead, grabbed some clay. I didn't even measure it or anything. And I just started to sculpt a hand. Now, if I were to put this on here, say, that's too big. Or it appears to me that it is too big. And let me pull that. But sometimes as you're blending your clay in, you'll see that the hand will actually become even smaller. But anyways, I just wanted to show you that. Okay, so that's going to be the arms, and I'm going to also show you how I will insert the arm into the torso. Now, this wire won't be as long as I'm showing here, but I put the 2-part epoxy inside the torso, and then I'll put the arm in. And set this aside, and then I'm going to explain to you about the tail. Okay, the tail is going to be the other thing that I'm going to show you in this, not this particular tutorial, but my next one, hopefully, is when I do her tail, her fins, her tail fin, I always do separate. So what I will do is I'll cut it and then I'll create the fins, but I'm going to show you how I insert it into the tail to make it look like it's all comes together. It's all part of her. And then I'm going to show you how I make the fin, the scales, and how I'm going to put color in it. So that is my project for you guys. And if I don't get all of this for Sunday when it ends, I will carry this through, and this mermaid will be completed for you guys after the Sunday the 20th. And I'm going to go ahead and I am going to let this dry. See? Let's see if you can see. See how that's a little bit too soft. I want it harder. In other words, if I were, I could still put a nail imprint and it would be good. It's not quite there. So I'm going to go off camera and I'm going to work on this, and I hope that you guys will stay with me with these tutorials and you will watch her, you know, all the way till the end, because I really have no idea what she's going to look like, and I guess you'll have to stay and watch till the end to see what she's going to look like. I'll be back, you guys. Okay, everyone, I am back. I've already started an arm, and I'm getting ready to show you with this arm. Now, the other thing that I wanted to point out with you, and I do this sometimes, is that with the hand, if you know the position that your hand is going to be in, I will sculpt the hand onto the armature, and then I will have my epoxy going up in it the way that my wrist would be, and that really does give your hand and wrist a lot of good support. I do that when I really know what the pose is, but this particular one that I'm doing, I'm not really focusing on that part of it, but I did want to tell you that. So in other words, what I'm saying is that you would just sculpt your hand, put this on, run your clay up real thin over that epoxy, and cook it. Cook it if you know the position, and then you can go ahead and work with your arm. I love doing it that way. Okay, here we go. I wanted to show you my epoxy. Now, I told you that I'm going to be able to put a thumbprint in, but see, it's firmer. That's how you can start working on it. This is not totally dry. I take some clay and I have flattened it out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just lay it right over it, and focusing and concentrating that as I'm laying it over it, that there's no air in that clay. And I'm going to bring it up and I'm going to join it, and I'm just going to kind of like pinch it a little bit, and then I take my knife and I will slice it. And then this piece here, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to slice that off. Okay, now here's what you want to pay attention to. When you're doing the top part of the arm, you want to think of it as you have your elbow. Just think of a little ball in there. Okay, you want the top part to come just above it. So that's going to leave my elbow opened for a ball joint like. Okay, now I'm just roughing this in, okay? Now I'm going to take another piece that I have flattened out, but before I do that, I want to show you this. Okay, I'm just going to bend it so that we can see what I'm doing here. Okay, I'm going to take a ball of clay and I'm going to put in like that knuckle, if you want to call it a knuckle, like a, I can't think of what it would be, elbow. Okay, now what that piece is going to do is that is going to tell me that this is the part that you got to remember. This, the arm here goes all the way to the elbow. So I'm going to take this clay and I'm going to do the same thing, but look, I'm going below that ball, just below it, but I want it to lap over it just a little bit, because the ball and the part of the clay that I'm putting on the arm is going to be the bottom of the arm. Okay, focusing again with no air. Okay, now I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to point. Normally I would take this clay and I would go ahead and put it where I know where to put it, but I'm going to do it this way so you can see what it is that I'm doing. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to cut this off. Okay, so let's say that you put your clay on there and both sides just came together. I hope I'm making sense. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you this part. This is why a template to me is so important. At least it is for me. And I'm just kind of smoothing that. I'm not trying to get any really sort of detail here. I'm just wanting the lumps out. Because I find that when you put that first layer on, if you don't try to get those lumps out, well, if you're going to put more clay over it, you're just going to keep getting lumps. And I think that's why people would say, you know, mine, it looks like it's got cellulite or something. Okay, now this is a part that I'm going to show you. This is when I will, I'll get my hand out of the way in just a second. But I will put my elbow, the joint, right where that line is. And let me bring the camera up. Okay, and I'm going to just open it a little bit, and I'm going to move this to the side here so it's out of our way. Okay. Now, get it on line here. Okay. Can you see how my line is? It comes out and then it goes in. Comes out and then goes in. So I'm going to put more clay right in there, and I'm going to put some more on this side. I might have a little bit too much on this side. Okay, now I'm just going to smooth it down into the rest of the arm here. And remembering that that wrist is going to be tiny. Okay, see how my ball is still there for that elbow? See how, you see how I'm trying to explain to you how the arm, the bottom, the forearm here is as long as that little piece that we put in there. This is what will give you the crisp of the movement of the elbow. It won't give you that like a half moon look. Okay, and basically all this is you're going to be doing, and this is why I say it's so important that you have references, and if you can draw it out, draw it out. If not, look at it with a book, print out the picture, downsize it to your scale, and do like what I'm showing you right here. I'm telling you, it really helps out a lot. Okay, see if we can see it. I'm gonna try to bring it up a little bit more. The lighting just is not good today because it has been raining for 3 days. And it's still raining. Okay. All right. I would have to bring this out more. And I'm just going to, again, just rough it in. And I need to bring that back. Okay, this tutorial, I'm actually going to stop here with the arm. I'm not ready to put the arms in the torso. I'm going to work on the tail and get my arms so that they look alike, the hands, and then I will be ready to insert the arms into the shoulders. This is why I'm saying that, you know, my type of work or art is, it's not anything that I can just whip up in a few minutes. At least I can't. Okay, now then, because I had that sitting there, I flattened it, and you don't want that. So I'm going to bring that around, and I still have to work on this area right in here. And then you got that flat area. And then this part here is raised. So see, I mean, that's the detail part of it. But I'm showing you how you can, how I get the crispness, that it doesn't look like it's, the joints is like in a half moon. You know, our bones don't move that way. Okay. And I'm going to put a little bit right in here. This is why all my students and everything, I give them the choice. They can use foil as an armature, or they can use the epoxy. Whatever works for them. I'll be honest with you, they go right to the epoxy after trying it, because it gives you a hard surface to work with. You're not constantly battling with the clay. And that was a big problem for me when I was sculpting with, just learning to sculpt with polymer clay. It was always going against me. And then I would have a dip in it, and then I would start, working on it, and then I would get another dip, and just having that real hard surface, and I couldn't seem to get it with aluminum foil. And I'm not saying that doesn't work, because I know a lot of artists that do it and it works for them, but it never did for me. When I found out about the 2-part epoxy, I was about ready to give up on polymer clay. Because polymer clay has got its faults, but it also has real good points to it, I think, as far as creating with it. Okay, now I will have to do more detailed work, but I wanted to show you how I get that elbow. And actually, probably need a little bit more. But see, now I would still put it on my template. And see, I can see I need to still bring this part right in here out. And then it's going to go in. So I need a pretty good piece right in there. And always when I'm working with my clay, because you might be looking at this and thinking I'm doing something, and you're not really knowing what it is that I'm doing. It looks like I'm dragging the clay, and I am, but I'm also pressing down, and that's a very important part with sculpting with polymer clay, because when you add clay like I just did, you can get trapped air. And if you just put it on there and start dragging it, you're basically could make more trapped air, or you're just taking that trapped air that's in there and you're spreading it to where it is, after you cook it, you're going to have either like a moonie, or it will turn into a crack. Okay, now I would detail that more, but you see how I got the crispness. Now let me put it up to my torso and we'll see. Okay, we're just going to say, oops, that would come up higher. Yeah, there we go. And then if I were to put her hand, which this isn't going to be, but let me just put it on here and get a visual, get a feel. You're just roughing it in. That's what I do.